Another study, this one conducted by Marty Seligman, considered the father of positive psychology. Marty Seligman introduced this exercise in his class initially. And after he saw the impact, also ran studies on it. What he asked his students to do was to write a gratitude letter. But a gratitude letter with a lot of meaning behind it, with a lot of thought behind it. To someone you're grateful for, someone who made a difference in your life. It could be your mother, who you're grateful for. It could be a teacher you had. It could be your boss. It could be your partner or friend. And when you write this letter, to really focus on all the good things that happened. To really focus on the way in which this person made your life better. And after you write this letter, to go to this person and to read it to them. In his 40 years of teaching, Marty Seligman said he hasn't seen an impact on students like that project, like this assignment had. And he ran research on it, and what the research showed was that it's the single most powerful intervention out there in terms of raising levels of happiness. That can last for a week or 2 weeks, which just goes to the point that we should do it more often. Write these gratitude letters that we really mean to people we really care about. It was also shown that writing this letter and not reading it, in fact, writing it for a person who's no longer alive, goes a long way in contributing to our levels of happiness. When I teach, every year when I teach, I do this exercise. It's one of the highlights, if not the highlight of the semester. Let me share with you a couple of examples. So this is John. John walked into every class and he was there by himself. And he would walk and he would sit all the way in the back. But I would see him there because John was huge. He was on the Harvard American football team. And he was a big guy, but he would always come by himself and sit by himself at the back. And then a week after, I gave this assignment of writing a gratitude letter. At the end of the class, he got up and instead of walking out, he walked towards the stage. At that moment, I was debating whether I should run away or stay. I decided to stay. John walked up the stage and looked at me, and I looked at him. And he said, "Professor Ben-Shahar, can I come to your office hours, please?" And I said, "Sure, that's what office hours are for. Come along." The next day he came to my office hours. This huge, gentle giant. He comes in and he sits down. And I can see that he's nervous. And he looks at me and says, "Professor, this is the first time in my 3 years at Harvard that I've ever gone to office hours. But I came here because I wanted to tell you about the gratitude letter exercise from last week. I wrote a letter to my father. And I was home this weekend, and I read the letter to my father. And then he looked down. And when he looked up, I could see that his eye was a little bit moist. And he said that after I read the letter to my father, he got up and he hugged me for the first time since I was 8 years old. He said thank you. He got up and walked out. One letter. And then there was Debbie, who wrote her letter to her elementary school basketball coach. And she read a letter to the coach, and the coach had long retired. And she said that after she read the letter, the coach seemed 10 years younger. What a difference that letter can make. It can make a big difference to us writing it. It can make a big difference to the person receiving it. It can make a big difference to the relationship. It doesn't take that long.